Morning, everybody. It's Ace of Trades. It's Wednesday, April 28th. Starting the video, I had just a couple hiccups with. I felt like I was rambling and the video was already getting long, and just some other issues I had. So I just wanted to start it over. Didn't miss much. I'll go over everything that's happened here in the last 45 minutes. But the Bible says in the book of Proverbs, chapter 29, verse 25, "The fear of man bringeth a snare, but whoso putteth his trust in the Lord shall be safe." Many people make poor decisions because of pressure that they get from coworkers or bosses, family, friends, make bad decisions and wonder, because what people worry about what people think of them, or something may impact their income situation. But when you just decide that you're just going to trust God and do the right thing, make all and do the make the right choices in everything you do, and just let Him work it out, then all that stuff really becomes irrelevant, and so you don't worry about what people think anymore. But on the chart today, so I had overnight high here, overnight low here. I had you know two legs down here, and then we got when we failed to fade up into the range after this second leg pushed out, rejected off the EMA and made this downtrend. I was looking for something here, but you can see the second leg doesn't give us anything really actionable that we can um, count on. It does come up here and test this measured move level from underneath and then push down to a new low. Then we get it's reversing and we get a decent trend up here. And here's where I had a scratch. So I had one leg down. You can see I usually talk about even when you get small price action, small legs of correction, and you're unsure, I usually talk about looking at the colors. So then we get the green bar here pushing up, two more pushing down. Then you get your signal bar here at the end of this move, but I just didn't like it because of how it um, was within this little short-term downtrend, and just didn't look very strong to me at the end of this move. So, but once this bar pushed down, the next bar pushed way down here and then snapped back up at the end and closed high. Usually if you get a couple of legs in an area where you're looking for a correction, and then you get a bar and you're just not quite sure about it, and then you get an engulfing bar that is also at the end of the move, pushing in the direction you were hoping to take a trade, usually that's good. And so I entered there, and then what concerned me is it didn't take off. It just kind of went sideways here for a couple bars. I wasn't expecting that, given how this pushed up real strong. I thought we were taking off then at that point. And so when this bar here got like within one tick of my target, I pulled my stop up to break even +1, and it came back and hit me. It eventually does continue to chop up here and make a new high, but that was just didn't sit well with me how it didn't take off here. I was looking for something more like yesterday, the trade I missed, where we get these two legs down. Yes, they're thin. Again, here's the green bar separating, indicating the first move up, second attempt, and then you get continuation off that signal bar. It doesn't, you know, immediately just rocket up, but you get continued green bar, giving you some assurance that yes, this is the end of the move and it's going up. But we just didn't get that here, so that was a little bit of concern to me. It does eventually continue to chop higher. I'm not sure why it decided to do that and just not continue to move up. But anyway, so that was a concern to me. So that's why when this pushed up here, um, I moved my stop up. Probably should have just held it once this green bar started pushing up. That probably should have been an indication that yes, this is not going to go lower now, but it's not what I did. So just being transparent with everybody, and yeah, so that's pretty much it for so far. I mean, honestly, there's not a lot of price action that we missed here. It's been very sluggish so far. But now we got a break. New high. Got to be careful about taking longs now because this is played out, and you're also getting into this overnight low level. So we might expect that prices would, um, at some point here start to try to head back down. But yeah, we'll just keep watching. I'm not looking for longs now with this played out. Okay, so we get this second leg up into this measured move level. We get a little bit of selling, but it just bounces right there and keeps going higher. So I think maybe you have this trend channel going up now that you may want to entertain for trades off of because this just did not care about the measured move or things playing out. It just continues to go higher. So you don't when that happens, you don't want to just keep sitting here saying, "Well, things are played out. I'm not going long anymore." When the price action, you know, um, goes against what you're thinking, but um, you can find good structures. Well, then you switch what we're thinking, and we go with the price action. So right now I just have this channel going up now, so I'll continue to follow this and see if there's any trades we can get off it. Now I think, just thinking about this trade a little bit, I think the error here was a mental error for me because I don't always just bail out of trades that start going against me. You've seen live trades I had where I don't do that. I think the mental error here for me was expecting some sort of how I was expecting the price action to play out as a result. Instead of I'm just see this as a trade, I'm entering my trade and I'm letting things play out. So I think that was a mental error on my part, is to not just, I don't want to say mechanically, but you have your rules and you take your trades based on your rules. This fit my rules. And so what I should have done is just take the trade and just let the trade play out. There's nothing contextually here against me. Like there was one the other day, maybe last week, um, where I got out of a trade because I thought maybe there was a range that was contextually against my trade. Um, but there's nothing here. This is the context is all with us on this on entering this trade. So I should have just stayed in the trade and just let the trade play out. Because the probability is that it will. So I think thinking about the trade, that was just a mental error on my part on expectation as to what I was expecting price to do, um, instead of just entering the trade and letting it letting it go. And unfortunately, there's nothing. I want nothing to do with all this weak price action here. Just drop down, and it's just kind of going sideways. So there's nothing I feel like I can take here with confidence. I still have to keep in mind that we've got two legs up, and although it does push up, and although it does form this nice trend, I still have to keep in the back of my mind if you're not getting something really good off this, you know, price may still be wanting to push down here. But, and sometimes what it'll do is it'll come down and it'll kind of go sideways here a little bit and then push up. There's just nothing you can do with that. So, it's just a no trade zone. I just have to wait to see what price action wants to do now. All right, so we're back to looking for shorts. This channel ends up not really holding for anything, and you get this just choppy wiki price action down. Tries to hold the overnight low here, but can't, pushes down through. So I have this drawn as a channel, all one channel, but it wouldn't surprise me. Just take this off. It wouldn't surprise me if this rolled over maybe from this point and just you got something steeper here. So um, I guess what I'm saying is, like, if you had something like this drawn and it overshot, um, like it is right now, I'm not I'm not opposed to, because it looks kind of weird. This looks almost like one choppy leg, a second choppy leg down. So I wouldn't be surprised if this to me, this little action here is just like prices, the buyers like not quite realizing yet that you know the move up is over. And so the real launch down could start from right here. So I wouldn't be super concerned about an overshoot off this channel because this it just looks kind of strange. You might actually, it might actually be something like this now that you're working with. So I'd probably draw something like this and just see what happens. So anyway, that's what I'm looking at right now. No more longs, looking for shorts. Okay, so at this point, I'm really doing nothing here. I'm not really sure how to treat this. Since this entire like move down, I cannot find any good trend lines to draw on anything that makes it seem like, if I draw something like this, maybe it's this here and you have this overshoot, but I cannot put lines on anything that really makes sense to me the whole way. Maybe there's just something I'm not seeing, but anyway, you may have had a little tiny break here, push down to a new low. I can't really find a way to fit this into the channel, and so it just pushes up, and now it's really struggling here. So I don't really like that lower high at all, especially after I can't really understand what's going on down here. It seems very in the light of this move up and way that formed, it seems very small picture to expect that price is just gonna push down off that. It doesn't make sense to me. So I'm not really sure what's going on here. I just have to wait until I can understand what prices are doing because I just don't. Nothing. This whole move down looks very strange. Okay, so from a bigger picture, I mean, we could review this all as one move down. It's not very pretty. It doesn't look like something we can get along with. And then you get this, correction, choppy sideways stuff, and then push back down here. So, this could you could view this as played out. Um, I would not take that trade right there. I mean, you see like two legs here, but remember, I view this as played out because this is the move down. This is sideways. It's not as neat and tidy as this, and then two legs of correction and then pushing up, but it's still kind of the same thing in my opinion. It's the move down. It's a break of that, and you chop sideways for a while, and then it gives up and pushes back down to a second leg. Remember these moves, they play out in all different ways. So I think we had a messy one yesterday morning with a couple big legs of correction, and then eventually push down. So it's not always these are the ones that you want to watch for to get trades off of. These are the ones that are very difficult and you just kind of have to sit through because it doesn't present anything. It's too big. It's the price action is too wide, and you can see here that I'm very sure that some price action traders got caught on a pattern here thinking first entry, second entry, and um because again they're just looking at the pattern. They don't really understand the context. And you could even look at this entire thing as a move down. It's big two-legged break, and then this is like two legs down to a new low for this whole move down. But just understanding, even from a smaller standpoint, starting here, that you could view this as all one move down. You can see how the price action is working. It's generally pushing down. And then obviously this is much different. This push up is much different than any other green bar sort of thing you got here. And you're going sideways, and then eventually it kind of rolls over and pushes down, although it's not really something that's actionable for us traders. But that's just what's happening. And now it looks like prices may be trying to push up again off of this thing being played out. So we'll just have to wait and see if we get some sort of structure that we can trade. All right, so we get this trend up, but the way that this is correcting down, I don't feel like I'm interested in trying to take any longs. It kind of all looks like one leg to me now, and I don't know. I could still see this playing out because this is, the bias was kind of this way, and you would expect that the trend would play out, but I just don't like how bearish this move is right now, and like I said, all looks like one leg. So I think I'm just laying off entering anything. Even with this looking not so good here, this would not surprise me at all if I would still expect this trend to retest because that's just the probability of what happens when you get um, a trend in a certain direction with all the other contextual stuff played out in this case to the downside. Um, so I know there's people probably thinking they're going to get short here and take this down. Anything's possible, but everything that's been happening today has been, not doing that. It's been playing out. So, you had this downtrend, it played out. You had this uptrend, you got a second leg up. You had this move down. It was kind of wacky, but it played out too. So, I don't really see anything here, any reason here why this would just, keep failing down. This trend would not be this would not be retested. Maybe this little thing, this little move down ends up getting like a new low or something, and then it goes up. But that would be odd for this trend to not retest in the environment that we've been in today. Usually, most of the time, that only happens or doesn't happen in like a range environment, or if you happen to run into like a larger context where this happens to run into a bigger downtrend, and I don't really see a bigger downtrend here. So I would still expect this to retest. Might not happen, but I would not be trying to short anything here. You could just get trapped bad, especially on a big bar like that. Anyway, just thought I'd pop on to say that. I'm really not entertaining any trades right now because there's no setup to the long side, and I don't want to take anything to the short side with this trend having not retested. All right, so big picture here. So maybe we've got one leg down, two legs of correction, second leg down that's coming through, these legs. So I think we got to have a potential target here. The fact that this could not make any attempts really to retest, but just got trapped here below the EMA and fell down, just makes me think price is just turning very weak here. Because usually that doesn't happen, and you can see it really hasn't been happening all day. But I definitely, you might have some of the hindsight guys come in and mark this as a failed second entry, but I definitely would never go short here with this trend not having played out. You could easily get trapped here on a tick lower, especially into like this little support area, and then it could retest. So just be aware of that with this, as long as you have identified a trend, there's no other contextual problems against it. I would never trade against that trend. It's broken until it's made a new high and then headed back down the other way. So we just may be getting very weak here. And so you could probably look for shorts now, I think, if you can find a clean trend to work with. All right, so this is very odd. We had two trends back to back that did not play out, which doesn't happen very often. It's not the normal operating procedure for trends. Usually they break and retest. So you had this one, it just reverses. You've had this trend down, no retest, just reverses. So, like I said, usually that will happen when they're subject to like a bigger structure that they're in. Maybe they're bouncing off the sides of that structure, but I don't see anything that would make me think that we're in any like a bigger structure. I mean, you can draw something here like this, but it doesn't fit well off the bottom anywhere. I mean, just don't see why I'd be looking for something there. Doesn't make sense. So I'm just sitting and being patient till I get something I understand. All right, looks like this trend might actually be retesting off this break. This is about a 61.8 retracement. It just got there in a strange way, so this trend could be retesting here now. I was looking for a lower high. I was hoping after this green bar we tick up and get a lower high here. It wouldn't close down too far. Now this bar's moved pretty far down here, but I'm not going to bet on this as a swing right into that EMA. Prices have just been behaving a little strange, but this certainly looks like, that perhaps this is the downtrend. Here's your break. Here's one leg trying to push to a new low, and maybe you're going to get a second leg here to push to a new low. But yeah, I was looking for something here just to not finish too far down, but it didn't pan out. Okay, I really have no idea what prices are trying to do here. Um, Everything just got kind of squirrely after this trend didn't play out, so I don't know if there's some kind of range that's developing here or what's going on, but um, I'm just staying out of it till there's something that I can understand. All right, I just sat back down here. Um, so I forgot to mention today about the FOMC stuff. At 2 o'clock, that happened right in here. I think I left around here, maybe. Now, this looks like a move down, and you get two bigger picture legs here. This is probably an aggressive one. It is more spread out, but you can see you get one leg, you get a second leg. This leg eclipses this one. Um, there's a couple points there to the EMA. It's more aggressive, I think. I don't know if I'd have taken it. I'm not going to say I would have because I wasn't here. But I can see where if you saw two legs here and you wanted to take that, it's reasonable, I think. And now this move down has finally played out, and maybe that's why we were getting all this like just kind of jostling around here, because the market was waiting for maybe the FOMC news to come out before it made any kind of determination which direction it wanted to go. Um, but you get this leg down, two legs. Kind of looks like a double bottom here, so want to be careful about shorting, I think. So we'll just see what develops. Other than this potentially, I don't see anything else here that I would have liked, um, since I was gone for like an hour or so. So it looks like we have a reversal now off of this downtrend playing out. We just want to be careful we don't get trapped if we're looking for a long here. I'd like to see prices just keep moving up here, because I wouldn't want to get trapped here at this uh, resistance level. Because right now it looks like a two-legged break, big picture, with a push to a new low, but I don't want to. You're getting a little bit of pushback right here at this levels, so we have to be careful not to take a long into that. Okay, I'm not exactly sure how to view this move up because I can see where there would be two legs right here. I'd like to view it all as one leg, but I'm not sure. And the other thing is, we're into an area here again where there's resistance, and I don't really like calling this bearish bar that finished a little green as like a first leg. So I feel like I just got to lay off that. Just doesn't, just a couple things against it I'm not real crazy about. I could definitely see this as break in a new high here that pushes up into if it's a new high pushing up into a resistance area, I don't want to go long into that. So just not crazy about it. I wish this had I might be more inclined to take it if this had just pushed up real strong without giving this little like sideways jog here that kind of looks like a break. Just not sure about it. So yeah, unfortunately, I'm just going to stay off of that. I shouldn't say unfortunately. If it fails, I'd be happy I stayed off of it, but I'm just not sure how to read this. So I'm not going to take that trade there. So that's why I just want to mention again, that's why it's important to be honest with yourself with what you're seeing. Now, the hindsight guys, what they'll do is this, if this would fail here back down, well, then we can draw it just like I have it drawn and say, oh, break new high. So you wouldn't want to take that. But if it wins, we'll just draw it like this, right? And we'll say, oh, there's an uptrend with your two-legged break. And then so you just take that second entry. It's a lot more complicated than, I shouldn't say it's a lot more complicated. It's more complicated than what the retrospective chart lessons make it appear to be. There's decisions that you have to make um, as you're doing this where something's not so clear and concrete. When you start seeing these things like how prices bumped into here and failed off, comes up, bumps into the same level and falls off, bumps into the same level and starts falling off, you go, well, there's not just one thing against this where maybe I drew this in this way and it gives me some apprehension about it, but there's a few other things here I see that gives me pause about taking that. Where in retrospect, I could just come in here if I'm doing a retrospective chart lesson, I could just say, oh, there's a trend up, and then you got your first entry, second entry, you just enter right there. Yeah, it's a lot easier when you're not doing it in real time to do that stuff. So now I sit here and think about this a little bit. Probably what happened right here is that the sellers came in seeing this double top and they kind of disrupted this uptrend a little bit at this resistance level, which turned out to not really be resistance, but that's probably what threw this trend off there. All right, so we have this uptrend and we got this two-legged break and okay, it goes for a new high. And so you're just waiting here because this is played out and we ran into the overnight low and there's nothing I see off here that would make me, if we got a nice print here, I might think about a lower high off this level with room to the EMA. But it never shows up. But now we chug along here a little bit and finally we get, pushed down. We've got 6, 7 consecutive bars here below the EMA. So now we'd want to look for an opportunity to get short. Um, as we hopefully are heading back down here. It looks like this is the type of price action that you like to see where things play out and then they turn around and it's doing what you expect it to do. So, maybe we get a correction and can get a short here. Okay, so this is not what you want to see when something plays out. You don't want to see, prices go the other way, which is what you expect, not go very far and then immediately reverse, because that just means I can't really trust the price action now. I don't really know what's going on because this should have reversed and now it's not. Is something else going on here? maybe you're gonna get like two legs down or something, or um, maybe just the buyers are so strong. So I had an interruption. So maybe we're getting a second leg down here, um, which is not something I really like to trade. I'm more look for one nice leg down and then a couple legs of correction, um, because I'm not exactly sure. It's a guess, but the second leg down doesn't always behave that way, or it doesn't. I could be guessing it's going to be second leg down, but maybe it's not. Maybe it bounces here and does another leg up. So it's just it's behaving in a manner that makes it difficult to trade. Is what I'm going to say. Okay, so we're going to wrap it up here. It's about 5 minutes till the close, and we're just kind of chopping around here with not much direction. So I'm not going to drag it out till the end. There was a couple today you could have, that are reasonable. We had this downtrend. Um, you get these two legs. This is a pretty nice bar. It's nice when you get these, like, this is almost a hammer bar, but it does finish doji-ish because it doesn't close past where it opened. But so that's one you might have thought about. Here's another one you might have thought about. I had explained a couple reasons why I avoided it, but it also seems reasonable. And then this one over here, I should have just stayed in. Other than that, there was something you could have looked at right here, but you just never get anything. It just gets real choppy and then makes a new low. Um, Other than that, of course, like I always say, we can always come through here and slap arrows on places where things win, but we're looking for consistent structures and setups that we can count on. So that's about it. Um, don't take stuff like this. I call them these false reversals. In this instance, it works, but I show you time and time again where they don't work, so you just end up behind on them. Sure, this one will get marked as a reversal and whatever. Um, so that's it for today. Be back again tomorrow for the last trading day of April. I'll see you then.